Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Bay, and today we're going to be talking about a couple different kinds of marker paper that I have found. So this one here, this is from Walmart. It is the Daler-Rowney, and I was asked by someone kind of what I thought of it, and I'm no expert at marker paper, but I thought I would give it a try because I do have some other marker paper. And I thought I would see kind of how they all were different. So this one here, I think it's Bin Fang. It's by Speedball. And this is the smallest one I could find. It was at Michael's. So we'll try this one out too, along with this one. And then this is the one I currently use, which is by the Bee Paper Company. And this is a sketchbook I bought while I was on the island, and I really like this one, so I'm just going to see kind of how it compares to these and kind of give my opinion on them. This sketchbook here I believe is about $14, so I found it affordable. It was a good size, and you can find it at Michael's. This one here I got on clearance for $10, but I think this is $20. I'd have to double check, but they don't carry it anymore at Michael's. And it's I bought it because I thought maybe I would do some like big marker big marker illustrations, but just haven't gotten around there yet. And this one here is probably the cheapest one. This one's $10. And like I said, no, wait. This one might be $5 because it's only 15 sheets. I'll have to double check. But this one you can buy at Walmart. So I'm going to draw just some quick little drawings and kind of see how the markers are with them. But something I do note right off the bat is this marker paper to me feels really, really smooth. Like it's very, I guess I would say you glide across it really well. Whereas these ones down here, they don't feel as smooth. They kind of have a little bit of texture. And they're not very thick, so I'm kind of worried, even though they claim no bleeding, that they might bleed. And what they mean by that is not that it's not going to bleed through the page like this, but what they mean is it's not going to bleed through the page onto your next page. So like, unless you're doing like super, super heavy coloring like I did on here, it bled like the tiniest bit. It shouldn't bleed through to the other side, so you should be able to not have a piece of paper in between and then color, and you should be good. So that's what that means to me. So we're gonna see if these two bleed through like regular paper, or if they're going to be like the Bee marker paper and not bleed through, because it claims that you shouldn't bleed through. I'm going to be testing it with just the markers I have laying around, and we'll go from there. So, as you may have noticed, I had said in the beginning I was going to do some smaller pieces, and this is what I ended up with. So, the reason why I did a bigger piece on this is the Walmart paper is because I wanted to test the capacity of the paper, because I already kind of know what B paper is like, and Speedball, it was so big and I didn't want to try and commit to that big of a piece. But I figured I would try the bigger piece on the Walmart paper to really see if it's, you know, just like you went to the dollar store and bought cheap paper and it doesn't work great, or if it's a decent value for what you're getting. And I was pretty surprised at how smooth it was going down. The marker took a little longer to dry, but I think that's just kind of to be expected on marker paper versus regular paper, so that way you can get your blending down. And I think it was just my markers, but I had some issue with streaking, and that could just be because these are kind of not the best markers. I wish I could have used my Copics, but I only had like 10 colors, and I couldn't think of anything to draw at the time with only 10 colors, so I used my really old version of the Touch 5s and as well as a couple new ones. But the color, it went down really well, and it went down really smoother than I was expecting, because like I said at the beginning, I felt like the paper had kind of like a bit of tooth, so I wasn't sure really how it would go down. And for this piece, I wanted to do something that had a lot of, not like obnoxious colors, but I wanted to have like a variety of colors, and unfortunately I didn't scan this and, you know, test it in Photoshop and see kind of what colors would be good. I just kind of ran with it and seen where it went. So you may notice there's a lot of browns. If I were to go back, I would probably change that, because the Eevees are brown, the little kiosk I think I made brown, and the ground is brown, so little forethought there probably would have helped. But all in all, considering the price and considering how the paper held up, like I kept checking to make sure this wasn't bleeding through, and I'd flip the paper when I did a lot of overlap, and to my surprise, despite how thin the paper felt, it didn't bleed through at all. Even in sections like I really went heavily, like this log that I'm coloring right now, I had to blend out a lot because I used the wrong brown with it initially, and even then it still didn't bleed through, so that was pretty impressive for me. Like I said, I wasn't really expecting much with this Walmart paper, so yeah, no, I'm thoroughly happy with it, all things considered. I don't know, like, if I would do finished pieces in this, because it's an okay size. I have a hard time with the bigger pieces, but at the same time, if you want to try out marker paper, this seems like a good way to start without having to spend a whole lot of money. Because I don't know if any of you have looked into marker paper, but it's not particularly cheap. And I think that's because it has a special coating on it which keeps it from bleeding through. So if you see marker paper and it seems really cheap and, you know, your markers just go straight through it, it's probably why. But yeah, all in all, I'm actually quite happy with this piece. I was really nervous about it. I really didn't want to mess up. But all things considered, I think it turned out really well and the paper held up. So yeah, I think if you see this and you want to try and get into markers, I think this is a good choice for a starting paper, and I don't think you'll be disappointed. And obviously, as you get more comfortable, you can look into more paper. But if you just want to try something just to see if it's really for you, because I know markers are an expensive hobby, then I think you could trust this paper to help give you an idea what you're looking for. So this paper here, as I said at the beginning, this is the bee paper. And I found that you can get this at Michael's now, but I had originally bought this when I was on the island in an art store. And it's a smaller sketchbook, but I quite like it because there's not a lot of pressure for me to, you know, like fill up the whole page. I can do what I want. And for this, I decided to draw a little bit of fan art because I was kind of just, you know, I wanted something easy to draw. And so I picked some Inuyasha characters. I really love Ayame and Kilala, so I went with that. And I thought I had all the colors for Ayame, but it turns out I didn't, which you'll see later. I fight with her hair quite a bit. But for bee marker paper, what I like about it is it's smooth. It was very easy to blend, and for me, because I'm not the best at choosing colors yet, it was forgiving. So like I picked the wrong color for her face at one point, and I was able to blend it out quite nicely, and it didn't look like it stood out a bunch. So that's what I enjoy about this paper. Plus the sketchbook isn't super big, and it's, you know, it's quite durable. Like, it's a nice hardcover sketchbook, and if I remember right, the edges are perforated, but I'd have to look. So for me, this is my ideal paper. The sketchbook, I believe, is $14 in Michael's right now. I could be wrong. Don't quote me. But I think that's a good value for the paper that you're getting, to spend a little more on a nicer quality of paper. Because, again, this may be a preference thing, but I really like smooth paper. I was always that kid that drew on printer paper. I wouldn't draw in sketchbooks because I hated it, blah, blah, blah. So for me, this paper was more ideal than the Walmart. But I think if you're, again, unsure, the Walmart paper is a good start. But if you're looking for a sketchbook that you can exclusively do marker work in, this would be a good way to go. Because unlike the Walmart paper, you don't have, like, it has a cover, but like, you can't flip it over and then flip it back, and the cover's still the same. This has a nice hardbound cover, so that way you can keep your pictures safe all in one place. But that's just my preference again. You're gonna see here, I cannot figure out the hair, but yeah, so in my opinion, like, this is, I guess, what I would say intermediate. Like, if you're only working on marker, I would say use this type of sketchbook versus like a mixed media sketchbook, or not a sketchbook that's meant just for pencils, because it'll help you learn how to do your blending and whatnot, rather than like in a mixed media sketchbook. I find that, like, don't get me wrong, you can use them, but what happens is, because it's meant to hold all different kinds of media, it ends up absorbing a lot more of the ink, and it's harder to get blending done. So if you want to go into markers, it's best just to pick up a sketchbook that's meant for it, and I think you'll have a better time. So unfortunately, what I didn't notice while I was recording this is that the rest of this footage, as well as the Speedball footage got corrupted. So unfortunately, I don't have that footage for you. I just had the final drawing. So I did end up finishing this, but again, you don't get to see me color everybody in. For the Speedball paper, which you'll see here shortly, I didn't enjoy it as much as the other two. I think it's more, it says it can do markers, but I think it's more specifically for like calligraphy and whatnot, and ink pens. So I don't think it's ideal for marker drawings. I could be wrong, but for me, I found it was kind of blotchy and a little frustrating to work with, and the paper is really, really thin, so even when you do color, you can like see through it, so I didn't really enjoy that. So I would probably just skip this paper for marker work specifically. I do like the picture, I just don't like the paper. But anyway, that's it for this week's video. I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.